Today we're talking about paper. Hello my dear paint monsters, how are you doing? It's great to be here with you again. It's been quite some time. I hope you're well. I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while now. Today we're doing something new. Today we're talking about paper. I've got a bunch of these Khadi sketchbooks. They are handmade watercolor paper sketchbooks, all cotton rag. This is cotton paper. This is handmade. This is one of them. And I've been wanting to show them to you for quite a while now. This is not a review, it's just my impressions. I want to show them to you and talk a bit about how they behave, how they feel. I've been using them for over the space of about 3 years, so I've had quite some time to get acquainted with them. So let's get going. So here's the first one that I want to show you. This is Khadi handmade watercolor paper pad. It's called a pad, but really it's a sketchbook. It's 150 GSM and it's rough, at least technically. It's got 15 sheets, 20 by 20 centimeters, and it was very affordable. It was priced $750 USD. I bought it in 2018, and it's cotton watercolor paper. It's made from cotton rag in India. And here's what it looks like. If you look at it, even on the cover, you can see that there's some texture. It's got a blank cover. Here's some artwork by my daughter. She was 2 at the time. Never mind. There's a dark sheet of paper at the front and at the back. And the first thing you'll notice about this sketchbook is that it's fallen apart. Actually, this completely fell apart. Some pages are completely loose, as you can see here. So it's not very sturdy. I think this is the thing I like about it least. And it's not as if I was handling it rough. Yeah, it doesn't need much to fall apart, really. The paper itself, it's quite soft. It feels quite soft. You can tell that it's not just cellulose, that it's cotton. What I don't really like about it that much is that it's very visible. It's quite regular. It reminds me of denim, really. It goes diagonally like this, and it reminds me of denim fabric too much. So I'm not a great fan, but you might not be bothered by it. It's cotton paper, so the colors blend quite nicely, and it stays wet for a reasonable time. The gradients that you can get with these are pretty smooth, if you like it. By the way, don't mind the artwork. I'm by no means a professional. I started painting as an adult to have fun, and this is not about showing off artwork. I just want to show you the paper, the quality of paper and how it behaves. So it's not very stiff, but it takes water really quite well. It doesn't buckle at all, and I'm quite heavy-handed with watercolors, so this paper is not really very well suited for ink and for pens, because the nib gets caught in the texture of the paper. It gets caught by the fibers a little bit too much. If you want to use a nib pen, I don't think this is your best choice. And here I think I used a Pigma Micron, a Sakura pen, but I didn't like it very much either, because the texture is a bit too rough. The surface of the paper is a bit too rough for the pen to glide smoothly, so the line gets a bit broken. So overall, I think the sketchbook is a pretty solid choice for beginners who want to try using cotton paper, a paper that's a bit better than the standard cheaper cellulose paper, but don't want to spend a lot of money and don't really care about durability. Now, this is the second sketchbook that I got from Khadi, and this is Khadi Handmade Hardback sketchbook. It's 210 GSM, so it's a bit thicker than the previous one. It's described as smooth. It's got 40 pages and the size is 13 by 16 centimeters. It cost me the equivalent of $12.50 USD back in 2018. By the way, you'll find all the info about the sketchbooks in the description of this video, so you can find them easily. And to be honest, I like this one a lot more than the previous one. The paper feels a lot less flimsy, while you still can feel that this is cotton rag. It's quite a bit stiffer, and I also liked the fact that the texture is finer. Maybe it is regular, but it doesn't catch my eye that much. It doesn't look like fabric so much, and it looks more like paper, and I liked it more because of that. So it works well with color pencils. If you want to use some color pencils on top of your watercolor, that works as well, although I don't think it's very well suited for nib pens again. It does work fine enough with pencils though. I've got an unfinished sketch. I was doing a lesson from Jane Davenport, I think, book about faces. However, not all the pages are the same. So some pages will have a finer texture, like this one. See? And some of the pages do have that diagonal kind of texture that also the previous sketchbook has. Like for example this one. This is just a background. I didn't paint anything on top of it, but you can see more visibly diagonal. I don't know if you can see the difference too, or is it just me? Here, more horizontal, and like here, more diagonal. The texture is much finer here, if you can see, and here it's rougher and goes diagonally like that. So I don't really like this so much. I much prefer the pages that look like this. But that's me, that's just my personal preference. I have a blank page left in the sketchbook, so I'm going to make a demo at the end of this video so you can see how it behaves in action. Oh, and one more thing, this paper does not like erasing. You have to be really gentle with it. It's very easy to destroy the surface of the paper, and I'd be very careful with washi tape, with masking tape with this paper. The tape can very easily damage the surface of the paper. The paper in this one is not very white. It's definitely off-white. Here's a sheet of copy paper, just a regular printer paper for comparison, so you can see that it definitely is whiter. And same goes for the previous Khadi sketchbook, the square one. As you can see, it's off-white. Now, the logbook. This is a funny one. It's very thick. It's got 180 pages. The paper is quite thin though. It's only 90 GSM. It's called Khadi logbook. The size is 17 by 12 centimeters. It's again 90 GSM, so the paper is quite thin. 180 pages. Is described as long fibered cotton rag. And it's described as smooth, and I can confirm that it's much smoother than any of the other sketchbooks I showed you or I'm going to show you today. And it cost 8 GBP, which is equivalent to about $11 US at the moment. And to be very honest, I don't really love this paper much. It can handle watercolor if you're careful and if you don't use too much water. It does buckle a bit when you paint, but I just don't really like the effect so much. Here's a series of cacti I did, and it's not like there's something wrong with the paper, it's just I don't like it that much. I think I prefer paper that's not as smooth, and this being only 90 GSM does feel quite flimsy. And I also tried this sketchbook with Posca pens, the acrylic paint markers, and this is definitely a no-go. The paper peels a lot. It's no good for that at all. So this one is better with nib pens, and the micron pen than the previous sketchbooks, but still the paper kind of catches onto the nib because the paper is kind of soft like fabric and not smooth like, for example, cardboard. The size is quite handy. I mean, it's quite thick, but I like how it feels like an actual book that you could read, you know. I don't know, I do like this format. And here comes my favorite, this big boy, again adorned with artwork by one of my children. I don't even remember which one, but it's really big. It's called Khadi Handmade bound sketchbook. It's 210 GSM, so again it's thicker, it's smooth, it's got 20 sheets and the size is a whopping 30 by 35 centimeters. It costs the equivalent of $32.50 back in 2019, but in my opinion, honestly, it's well worth it. Now, I use this for work a lot. I'm a paint maker, and when I want to swatch colors, when I want to check things out, when I want to put colors together, I need a big format, I need a big size, and this one is great for that. And it's cotton paper, so the paint flows much better on it than on any kind of cellulose paper. So I like this a lot. It shows granulation and texture a lot better than most of the papers that I know. It handles water very well, and this is just perfect for experimenting, for putting palettes together. The texture is not quite uniform across all pages. On some pages it looks more like denim, on some pages it's not that visible, but for some reason I feel that it's not as bad as in the first square sketchbook that I showed you. It is off-white again. Here's a page of white printer paper for comparison. You can see that it's much whiter, much cooler. Here's me working on the new winter set. Here's what it looked like when I tried to figure out what I want in the set. So yeah, this is my favorite of the Khadi sketchbooks, of all the Khadi sketchbooks that I own. And I feel like it might start falling apart kinda sooner than later now, but I've been using it for about 2 years now, and I've been using it daily, opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing, so I'd say this one's pretty sturdy. I almost finished it, so I wanted to buy a replacement, but Jackson's Art didn't have the same size. It only had the smaller size, and I really didn't want to wait too long, so I decided to buy like the same sketchbook, but in a smaller size. This is it. It's also called Khadi Handmade Bound Sketchbook. It's 210 GSM, described as smooth. It's got 20 sheets, so it's exactly the same as the one I just showed you, but the size is 21 by 25 centimeters. But actually I bought this one in 2021, so 2 years after that big one, and I notice a difference. The paper in this one is much smoother than in the previous one. Like if you look here, you can see that the texture is still visible, but it's much less pronounced. I'll show them to you side by side in a moment. It's still cotton paper, so the paint flows very well. The colors blend nicely together when you need to blend. Some of the pages feel stiffer than in the big one, but this might be at least partly due to the size of the sketchbook. So the smaller the sketchbook, the stiffer the paper will seem. This is me trying to figure out Tyrian purple for the Time Machine set. Obviously it's an imitation, as the original pigment is ludicrously expensive. So here's the large Khadi sketchbook, and here's the smaller one. I don't know if you can see, but this one is a lot smoother. The small one is a lot smoother. It looks a little bit more yellow as well. Yeah, so that's what it is. This is good, but I like this more. So here is the logbook, the fat one, and I'll just do something very simple to show you how it behaves. Here are some more traditional earth and mineral pigments. These particular colors are from the Globetrotter Armenia set. As you can see, the paper is already starting to buckle. It's because it's really thin. It's 90 GSM. And the colors I'm using right now are from the Herbology set. So as you can see, with this paper, wet in wet works really wonderfully. The colors just blend together so easily and effortlessly. I think this is where this paper really shines. It's sturdy, it's thick, and it handles water exceptionally well. So in the hardcover Khadi sketchbook, the masking tape actually tore the paper when I was peeling it off. Even though I chose a tape that I know is not very strong, it still ripped the paper, so be very careful with that. The second one is the logbook. It's that fat one with thin paper. I didn't use a lot of water, and as you can see, even though the paper buckled as I was painting, it got back to normal after the painting dried. So overall, it's not bad at all. And the third sketchbook is that smaller size soft-bound sketchbook. And as you can see, in all of the three sketchbooks, wet in wet works really well. The colors blend together nicely. And that's as expected, as they are all cotton sketchbooks, not cellulose, so blending colors will be easy. So I hope this video helped you see the differences between the various Khadi sketchbooks. All in all, honestly, I like all of them, maybe except the first square one, even the logbook. I think it's a pretty good deal. I mean, 180 pages, even if it's only 90 GSM, but it's a paper that handles watercolors relatively well at the cost of $11 US. I think that's a very good price. So yeah, this is not Arches, this might not be Fabriano, but this is good, affordable cotton paper for everyday use. I hope you liked this video and found it informative. If you like the watercolors featured in this video, check out my online shop at hungryforpaint.com. I'm planning to make more videos about paper, so if you're interested, stick around. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you around. Bye bye.